Thank you. It had stopped and we couldn't figure it out.
Okay, are we good to keep
So
going?
Dave messed it
Yeah.
up and Jody fixed it. Is that how things typically work?
Yes.
Can we get the cameras back on at the city center?
Yeah.
That's Dave Stone's.
I've got cameras back on, yes, but the YouTube live link isn't working. So
No, I mean the cameras there. Somebody touched some buttons or something happened. There was a lot of clicking noise and not the cameras. I can't see
Yep.
anybody here. See what I'm presenting.
Noise?
okay, I'll work on it.
Just blame Dave.
You can't see the cameras here.
Yeah, I can't see you guys.
can't see
in-
us.
Yes. Just sees Ted McCoy's picture of the mountain.
Yes.
Is that whose picture that
I'm just guessing.
is?
I know we've got a lot of photographers in the city, but
That's probably a yes.
Are you guys able to see my screen being shared?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's fine then. I know how pretty you guys all are. So
All right, so on this information we received on health insurance.
So this is just from one company, right, Lori? Select Health.
But the company's offering different tiers.
are you working with a broker or are you going directly to each of the carriers yourself?
the company's called Miller Wade. They're a brokerage firm that handles different health insurance companies. So they would be able to provide other insurances. I think I don't know if the mayor talked to you, Mike. What he'd like to do is move this completely away from city staff and have an outside independent, like the finance committee, look at different options and plans, kind of comparing with other cities, see if we're too rich, too low, what other cities pay, what they don't pay. You know, if there's like a split 80-20 as far as what employees pay versus what the city pays. Just kind of get an outside perspective to see where we stand.
Exactly what he talked to me about,
Okay.
yes.
And I have a friend, and I did reach out, who is also a broker and
Perfect.
works with a lot of small businesses and stuff. And so I sent him some basic information, but I haven't heard back from him yet. But he was going to get, some prices together and some comparisons for us.
We
And
can
I'll
give 'em a
actually
sense.
him in the morning, so I'll talk to him about it.
So
Okay.
let me throw out a group here. What cities are there out there that would be our size? Is Elk Ridge our size?
They're about probably 3 times our size, but they have similar staff.
Jody, what is that city called up by Heber, Midway, between Midway and Woodland?
Or-
Daniels, Charleston,
No,
Wallsburg,
more towards Park City. Yeah. Anyways, I talked to her
Yeah.
about
Camas, Oakley, Kiowa.
I want to say it's Oakley. Didn't
that
the
one?
Heber recorder go to Oakley?
anyways, they are almost our
Francis, maybe.
exact identical size. I can find out who they are, but she said that they only have 5 employees and 3 are full-time and 2 aren't, and they're fighting with their developer and fighting with citizens and having growth issues, but their budget's about the same, couple $1 million. And so that might be one that we could compare to. I'll have to find out who that is.
Maybe assign Jim and Aaron city to go to. But we just need to name those cities on where we think. So that's, Elk Ridge for sure would be a good option for us.
Royce is their guy over there that kind of handles that stuff.
Where's that?
Elk Ridge.
The guy's name is Royce.
Royce, yeah.
Royce?
Royce.
Royce. That's
He's
fine.
he's the Jody of Elk Ridge, but they don't have a Chris.
What kind of health insurance they're providing to their employees,
Yeah, and I'd
how
like,
much they're participating.
yes.
So
I-
behind it, I included kind of the breakdown and like how much it's costing per employee.
And I'd like to extend it beyond that and look at salaries, wages, and things like that too, while we're doing it.
Sounds like we need to call several.
So Royce is the last name of Elk Ridge.
Swenson.
Royce,
Royce Swenson.
Royce is his first name, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Royce is his first name. Swenson's his last name.
Although Elk Ridge is geographically proximate to us, the similarity is most important on size. Although the other key question is do these three individuals prefer the Intermountain Network or the Mountain Star Network?
You know,
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Do
two
they-
different sets of hospitals. My husband's on one and I'm on the other. And so it's very confusing
Okay,
keeping
so
track of
you're-
which
So do
insurance
do
and
you
which.
want to have, the doctors are almost the same on all the plans, but it's a question of, do you guys want to go to Mountain View Hospital when you get
Or Utah Valley.
problematic, or Spanish Fork Hospital and its related escalations?
Yeah. I'd rather go to Mountain View, but sometimes I have to check with my wife because she has certain doctors and we just check the network, make sure her doctors are on it. Cause
In most cases, the doctor's going to be on both,
yeah,
every network.
Yeah.
It's just the facilities that there's a very specific set of facilities that you can go to. Revere's on everything.
I know when I was at my last company, they ended up switching health insurance providers. She had a doctor. He wasn't on the new one. She didn't have a doctor when we switched her. She was on a doctor years ago. When we switched the first time, she didn't have the doctor. So I had to quit going to him. They switched insurances company, got the doctor back. So she started going back to him. Then I came here and lost the doctor again. So if I go back and say, I might be thrown out.
And there, depending on the specialty, some carriers will actually do a specialty rider for just that patient with just that doctor to where you can continue that. We had to do that with a couple of our employees that had some significant issues going on, and we were on one plan and switched to another plan. And they said, we're not going to make this employee switch in the middle of cancer treatment or whatever
Yeah.
the case may be.
And I don't know that it matters a whole
But the
lot because
Select
I don't.
Health is the Mountain View Hospital, isn't it?
No.
No, it's the other.
Select Health goes to the Intermountain facilities, and
Okay.
and Aetna or United or some of those plans would go to the Mountain Star facilities.
And we had United where I just came from, and I don't think right now I think she kind of lost one doctor, so I don't know that it mattered a whole lot. I think she was looking around again.
Or did you say Mountain Star? Is that recent?
Yeah, Mountain View Hospital
Mountain View.
and Temp and St. Mark's.
Mountain View is just convenient.
Yeah, Mountain Point and Lehigh, Common Spirit now.
So we need to come up with 2 more cities.
Might be Francis, Utah.
Our size. and
Probably
plan-
Francis.
Well, that was-
Francis?
Mhm.
Could we reach out to
Yeah.
MAG and they could tell us?
And Camas is close, Chris. It's 2,000 residents.
Okay.
Jody's looking.
Good.
Does Mountain Land go further south or do they just stay Wasatch Front?
But the one problem about those communities is they're all up in Summit Wasatch County, and there's only Intermountain facilities up there. As opposed to getting some that has access to 2 different. So
But it's going to be hard to find something comparable.
Oh, Mona
Oh,
might be,
Mona.
Mona might be all right, but they'll be bigger than us. I think.
Got some former residents that live there.
Mona would have some infrastructure though, like some business in there, right?
They do have a
Yeah.
few, but
But
Mona's
that-
about the
that's
same
no big
size.
deal.
they've got Barnes Bullets.
Mona would be good. Yeah. they
So
do
Mona's
have-
another one you could look at.
Let's put Mona down. I think that's a good suggestion.
one is about 1,900 in 2023, so they're roughly our size.
As far as residents go.
Yodi, what's another one? We need a third one.
Well, we had.
Oakland.
Why
Please.
we're
Please.
looking at size,
Francis?
it's a good comparison, but also just because it's the same size doesn't mean the duties are any different. So we may deal with less people, but we still have those same requirements with state. We still have SWIP requirements, but we just have less people to do it. We still have the same auditing requirements, the same posting requirements. Everything still remains the same. It's just we're a little bit less.
As I say, I
people.
don't know, population matters a whole lot. Cities are going to have health insurance. I guess the question is, I mean, they're could affect the cost. and whether they cover all the costs or not. Could depend
Have
on the
we
budgets.
talked about PEHP? The public
The
employee,
public one.
employee health plan?
They'd be a good one to consider. The city would have access to, whereas most businesses don't have access to HP.
Where would we go learn about that?
The broker.
The PHP would go directly to them since they don't have any agents or brokers with them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But they are years ago, they were more expensive than everybody, but I think in the past 5, 8 years, their plans have come down to be more competitive.
So what about, I serve on a water board and for Soldier Summit up on the mountain. And we deal with about 150 hookups up there. And we deal with a similar city, our secretary and our accountant serves for Copperton. How big is Copperton? That might be a good one.
Is
to
that
go
by
check
being
out.
on hand? That's probably better.
Yes, it's west. Copperton.
The last census was 852.
Looks smaller.
Well, if
They may
it's-
not even have any.
'Cause that's the other thing, you want comparable employees, so that
Sure.
even though Elkridge is bigger, they have the same number of employees.
I thought they'd be bigger than that, but okay. They're not.
No, just look at their roads on snow days.
Francis, how many are there in Francis?
Branson's was 2,000.
What about Walsburg?
That's what I'm looking at right now.
Walsburg's close.
Grandma Crandall used to own half a mountain in Francis.
Walsburg?
I would think
We're
maybe
going
some
all
of
out.
your Morgan County or North Weber County cities might be similar small. Is it Morgan County or is it Morgan City?
Morgan, there's
Oh.
Morgan, isn't it?
That's what I was trying to remember.
Morgan. That's the only one I remember from my high school days when we had to memorize counties and seats.
Morgan.
That was the only one I could
Mount
ever
Dell.
get right, was Morgan.
You
Morgan.
went-
Does anyone
Uinta.
know about, how about Timberlakes? Are they an entity in and of themselves or are they part of Heber? That's a mountain community.
Yeah.
Timberlake.
And I don't know, they have to
When you look
match
at
us
Timberlake,
exactly. I
Jody,
mean, it's.
I don't know if they have a city or if they're just an HOA. I've sold lots of properties up there, but I couldn't tell you. And I mean, I know they do have a big HOA, but I don't know if they have any employees.
They're probably part of.
It's not showing them here.
I would think Miller Wade Group would have some comparables that they could help us with themselves. If they have multiple different public entities that they broker with.
So
They- they
Miller,
could-
you want to take that side on, and I'll take on Mona?
Okay.
And then you find us another entity, then by drilling down on that stuff. We'll go to work on it, and then
So you're gonna reach out to Miller Wade?
Yeah. Chris, is this Lynette Badger the best one to call?
Yes. In person there.
I think I got yes.
So I think there's
didn't
two
get it.
things that, oh, yes.
You're just cutting in and
So
out.
my, Hmm.
Solar winds.
The waves are too high between here and there.
we just lost Chris.
Yeah, a
When did he move to Hawaii?
couple months ago.
Are they building another school out there as well?
About 8 months ago. He's
That
been
long
there.
ago?
Yeah, he's been there since about May.
Is this Freedom Prep they're doing out there?
I don't know.
So,
He's all remote on both of his
so Aaron,
jobs.
who's the contact with Miller Wade?
this Lynette Badger. I'm just looking at this email.
On the email.
It's just that
There are,
signature block
there
at
are
the bottom.
Can you hear me any better now?
Yes.
Yeah.
If I get stuff back from my guy too, I will send it over to you.
So Mike, my understanding from the
James,
mayor, what he
Adrian.
wants to speak what other cities pay and then make some, so that's one aspect of it. So like I said, 80-20 towards the health insurance. And then the other portion is, can we look at a different plan maybe to reduce our costs to the city? And whether it's through Select Health or Regents or United Healthcare or PHP, that was my understanding. Is that what, did he ask you for anything else?
The one thing I'll say from experience of changing our employee benefits around, when I first took my job, they had a rich benefit for me where it wasn't just me, but there was kind of the executive team. We had a much richer benefit than the rest of the employees. And I said, I don't want to have this special thing for just the executive team. I want everybody to have the same stuff. But I recognize that I'm sacrificing some compensation in that. So let's just make it up when we put us all on the same plan. Say now, because I didn't have to pay a penny for my insurance. It was provided 100% by the employer. So I said, well, let's make it so I have the same 70-30 split that all the employees do, but that 30% cost that I now have to bear, we just put that into my compensation. So we could look at it as we make these adjustments. If there's going to be a significant more outlay of the employee, then if the salaries are otherwise comparable, then you could just keep the employee whole that way. But it's all dollars, right?
And yeah, and I'll just maybe throw part of, and I know this personally affects probably me and Chris and all those, but part of my whole analysis when I came to the city was looking at not only just my pay, but my whole compensation package compared to what I had where I was at. And that was part of what helped the deciding factor of coming. So,
So you don't want us to
so,
So,
no, I mean, we got to do what we got to do, right? But I'm just saying that's part of what gets weighed out when at least for me, and I know probably other
But whether
employees.
you have to pay $3,000 more in premiums for the health insurance through the course of the year, but you get $3,000 more in salary
yeah,
through the
right.
process.
Yeah, when I did, I don't look at just salary. I look at the whole benefit package, because the company I was at, they had, biannual bonuses and all this kind of stuff. So I was comparing all this when I was making my decision and retirement, all that kind of stuff, how that weighs out.
So-
it all plays into what you look
so
at.
Chris, can I ask a question then on, as you look at this, what kind of an increase percentage wise would you think we would be looking at on this for health insurance?
When you say increase, as far as the renewal coming up,
From last year to this year?
I think we got a 9% renewal increase last year to this year. I would suspect will be similar, 9 to 14. Aaron, what have you seen at your company? Janet, what do you guys?
That is the industry average. We've actually been able to do a whole lot better than that at our clinic. But when I talk with our consultants, they say that is average costs.
So average increase is about 9 to 14%.
Yeah.
If you can hit 10%, if we feel like if we can get just a 10% increase, we're doing pretty good.
Well, one of the crazy things is the health insurance there. When I came onto it, I prefer an HSA. However, the HSA was going to cost the city $300 more per month for me and my family to be on there versus what used to be called the Cadillac plan, which is a copay plan. And that was cheaper. And so it's just kind of interesting how the market is kind of moving around and changing. However, on the quote unquote Cadillac plan, now it's like $18,000 out of pocket before they're covering 100%. Where HSA, you usually get your out of pocket in $6,000 or $7,000, and then it's 100% the rest of the year.
So what's the city doing now in terms of out of pocket? Do you pay a portion of that, or is the city covering 100%? I don't know.
Oh, so when I'm saying out of pocket, that was the copay and the out of pocket insurance. As of right now, the city picks up premiums 1% for the employee and their families.
Yeah, the out of pocket for us is like, I think on the plan, and it varies on plan to plan, you're out of pocket, right?
But I didn't hear that. So
So the premium, Chris said, is covered 100% by the city.
all right.
Yeah.
But then our out of pocket's like, I think mine's 750 or something.
How much is yours, Ted?
I think it's 750.
That's your
It's either
deductible.
750 or
Is that your
1500.
deductible or?
Yeah.
Yeah, your
We got to
deductible's
beat that,
15.
they cover. Yeah.
And then your 80/20, once you reach your 20% reaches, I don't know, $7,000, $8,000, then it's 100% the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, personally, I would say that we've gone wrong as a city in the first place just by making the premium 100% covered by the employer, because then the employee doesn't have any skin in the game. And so there's no motivation for the employee to choose what's right for them. They're just trying to choose whatever is going to get them the.
Yeah, I've never been with a company that paid 100%, so this is all new
Yeah.
to me.
You're going to find in city that that's going to be, they're going to pay on the higher side because, you know, and not that Ted's going to do this, but if Ted doesn't get his way, he's going to walk to Spanish Fork and they're going to give him 100%, the same URS, a higher salary. And so that's what I think the mayor was trying to see is, are other cities charging a percentage? And if they are, great. If they're not, great too. Let's see how we fit this all in with the overall package for each employee.
And two, isn't it just to compare, make sure, I mean, it's not necessarily to get a cheaper plan. It's just to make sure we're not,
So
to make sure
what-
it's a good.
what-
combo.
I'm thinking we
you
can
want
do
us to
better.
Look at some of these like Spanish Fork and go take a look at what they're doing.
So I
I
looked
don't-
at 5 or 6 different cities. And a lot of them said they do 100% for the employee.
For the employee only, but not.
And then it was like an 80/20 for the family. I think I gave the information to Janet and I sent her the ones that I had, but some of them are doing a whole 100% for the whole family. So it just depends, but it's pretty typical to do 100% for the employee.
I know it was on the
And-
consulting side. That was always the rub about the people that work for cities is because we had to, but it's called consulting side tried to make that up through a little bit higher salaries, but you paid more out of pocket stuff for insurance and all that. Where the city folks usually they didn't make quite as much in their salary, but they got their insurance and benefits and retirement and all that.
Yeah.
So it was always kind of a wash. But
And you guys might find something else as you're talking to the cities that we haven't even discussed.
I just texted Lehigh to find out what they do.
Are these being accessed through the health exchange and they're just, the city is paying the premiums as opposed to a group plan?
No, this is the
So
traditional
small.
group plan.
I don't think that's available.
Cities are allowed to have one life groups. So
So
this only
are-
started out with Corbett only until Craig came on and then it was a 2-person life group.
So our larger entities, are they going to get a better insurance plan than what we do as a small entity? Or is it pretty equaled out?
Not necessarily. The key is when you have such a small risk pool, then they can risk rate you based on the 3 people and the members in the pool.
Pre-existing condition.
Well, they're not going to have claims history to be able to do that, but they'll look at ages and genders. So they just look at everybody here is 50 in their 50s.
Oh crap, we're screwed. Yeah.
Everybody's old.
Yeah, everybody's in their 50s as far as the employee and their spouse.
They're still kids.
I wish I felt like it.
But if you've got these type of, premium of $2,900 a month, that's sky high.
It's excessive. And that's Select Health. I don't know if the other insurance companies break out their pricing the same way. Select Health still goes off of sex and age banded rates.
Yeah, I mean, the 1,700 and 1,900 a month, that's getting down more reasonable. Those are both family plans as far as employee plus spouse plus children. I don't know with Chris if they're somehow saying Chris has that many more children, and so that's why the premium is so much higher.
That's age banded rates after age 18.
No, well, I can see actually the other 2 are on the value plan. Chris is on the med plan, and the med plan is it's a higher cost because they pay the doctors more than the value plans pay. but looking at the actual deductibles and such, it looks like the deductible and co-insurance, out-of-pocket max, all of that is the same. It's just that when Chris goes to the doctor gets paid more than when Ted goes to the doctor.
And no wonders they don't. I got only about half my parts put back in me. You're only gonna pay me so much. I'm only doing half the job.
Okay, so do we just take this and set a meeting up
Do
within
you want me
30,
to call
30
the
days?
public employee plan? See what they.
If you would, that would be,
Oh, yeah, let's have, because you don't have an assignment yet.
Tim does.
What did you want me to do?
That one.
Elk Ridge
Elk Ridge? Okay.
and public employee health, if
Okay.
you would. Because I think I'm gonna extend out and I'll go to Mona, and then I'm gonna maybe go Spanish Fork.
If you want, I can send you some other communities that are around our size. If that would be helpful, I can do that tomorrow.
That'd be great.
Yeah, she suggested Francis or, yeah, Elbridge.
Francis, that's up in the Heber Valley, right? Up
Right.
east of the-
Summit County, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Summit County. It's by,
And their recorder recently
Oakley
went
in
from
that
there,
area.
from Heber to them. And so I think they're around 2,000 and they're growing.
Okay, I'll take Francis on too.
okay.
All right. Any more discussion on the benefits?
No, just that, the numbers that Jody sent me, I'll find those and I'll forward those to all of you too, so you have them. My laptop just crashed. It has everything, all my city council, all my whole world. And hopefully it'll be ready by Friday, but I will get that to you quickly. Do you have it? Yeah? Okay. Send it to me again too, but
So what-
sometimes those will forward to my Gmail and that's helpful, but it didn't last time I checked.
You're forwarding what to us again? Jen?
It's just some numbers on the,
From some of the cities Jody looked at.
Okay,
Some of what the other city recorders told me they do for their employees, what their benefit package is. And so it'll give you an idea. I got 5 or 6 of them. It usually is a topic amongst the recorders every couple 6 months. And so this is some of the feedback that I was given a couple months
so
ago.
how soon does the council want information back from us on?
well, what was March? What was the deadline, Chris?
You've
It's
got
either
to
March
turn
1 or
fast.
April 1.
Yeah, we've got to be quick.
Yeah, I think we have to decide if we're going to up again by March 15th or something like that.
So if we.
We have to meet
if we
next
plan a
month.
meeting within 30 days from tonight, are we okay? All right,
Yeah, we'll have to meet next month and have a decision.
okay. We'll go to number 3 now, unless there's more discussion on benefits.
Are you only wanting us to look at the health benefits, or are you also wanting to look at the dental and other?
So dental's paid by the employees 100%. Vision's paid by the employees 100%. So those are being,
It wouldn't hurt to explore it all, so to look at it and see what they do. Also, city managers and what would be equivalent to you, Ted?
City
Public
manager.
Works Director
Public
or
Works.
city engineer.
Okay. Public Works directors and then accountant? What do you call yourself, Chris?
Finance
Controller?
director.
director of finance, but it's typically in cities, it's the recorder. So there's a provision in the law to allow finance directors. I think there's only one other in the whole state. And I think it's Oakley, unless they've changed to the.
All right, we'll go to number 3, and could you brief us, Chris, on city budget?
Yep, I've got a condensed version of the budget right here, just so we could see the percentage real quick. This is the general budget through December 31st. Our revenues at 50% of the year gone, we're at 55% collected. and our expenses overall, we're only 28 expended in the general fund. So we're doing really good. The wintertime does slow
Spend
down.
more
quite a
money.
bit.
So you keep getting mad at me for
Wait.
spending money. I
Wait,
don't spend fast enough.
Ted, he thinks he can spend more money, Chris. What are you doing?
We haven't put the salt in.
Starting
No, I don't-
snowplow season.
Well, we got
Uh,
a $300,000 bill coming tomorrow.
Yeah, and I was gonna jump to that right now. I'm gonna skip some of these other capital projects we haven't done yet, but the roads capital project, we're expecting the big bill coming in. We got $26,000 bill paid to Parsons today, and then you said a $300,000 one.
No, that 26,000, we're not, so I talked to Lori. That's actually the contractor's supposed to pay that.
Okay, great.
So he'll pay them, but this is for West Loafer. His final cost was like 319,000.
Okay.
We're going to pay him all but 5% of that probably in the next few days. And then the last 5% we'll hang on to until he's got a few items left to finish,
Okay, great.
minor items.
The roads capital year,
Good
where
to
the
have done.
chunk of that road was coming out right here.
So
gonna
roads
fit.
and public, no money has been expended this year, current year. Is this current year, is this fiscal year or?
Yeah, July
Yeah,
to
July.
December 24.
Yeah,
we
just
haven't done any
because
road work yet.
there was no progress billing that I remember seeing.
Yeah, they didn't do any progress billing. They just did the whole job, and then they're just billing it for us all at once. So,
So this 300 and something thousand will come out of that,
yeah, we'll get
that
that done like
446,000.
Like
Do
tomorrow.
we have on that miscellaneous line, Chris, do we have any plans or anything that's intended to do, to cover?
Yeah, let me get the non summarized budget, because that's a good question. We can see.
How come we're not paying 5%? Not quite done. or
not
something?
quite done. He had a few left things to finish, so we keep a 5% retainer until it's all the way done.
Makes sense. Motivation.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is kind of small. It's as big as I can get this report, but we have a UDOT community grant. Ted, I don't know if you got something on that. If you got any information on, we do have $330,000 going for the loafer. It looks like she did put the bill in, Ted. So would you mind getting with her, tell her to take that 26,000, not paying it, not paying it?
Okay. Yeah, I told her not to pay it today, but I'll get her to take it out of here.
Okay.
Yeah, the
And then-
100,000 is that UDOT grant we got for the strategic and general plan updates. They probably just haven't sent us a progress bill yet that I'm aware of.
Okay, and then Tim, we had the 458,000 actually just went from this capital projects back into the general account where we're doing road repairs there. And then let's look at water. I'm gonna pull the other sheet back up because the water was a little easier to see on it. Maybe.
Doing that, Ted, how's our water lines looking
Depends on what
on the phase 2 area?
we haven't had. We've only had one break this year so far.
Good.
So, and actually, that line looked okay. It's not sized appropriately. It's a little smaller than it should be. It's supposed to be 8-inch and it's 6-inch, but the pipe itself looked okay. The breaks we had a few years ago. Yeah. So when we upgrade them, we just have to, or when we replace them, we just have to put 8s in. But they're, they're pipes that have a 50-year life, and they're 53, 54 years old now ish. So they're at the end of their life. So we're on borrowed time now.
Well, that's gonna be part of the discussion on number 8.
We're on borrowed time.
Yeah, when we get to number 8, that'll be a big part of our discussion.
So currently this year we've received, I don't like how they calculate these numbers, but received about 66% of our income. and expended about 43%. However, that looks a little deceiving because we're going to overexpend our budget this year because we've collected money in previous years from the ARPA monies, which are still from COVID that are going to fix some issues. So the money that we're over on the budget, the $201,000, actually the whole is $127,111. It's coming off the fund balance or the retained earnings, prior year fund balance carryover. So the water count's looking phenomenal.
How much what?
How much retained earnings did we have?
Did you hear that question, Chris?
His microphone might be dying. Sorry. No, I think the
Said
microphone's dying.
How much retained earnings did we have?
We have.
I know he knows because we've asked before. When Ted was trying to
Yeah,
spend
just
it all,
I
I
just-
asked the same question.
Yeah, we got so
It-
much
it's a-
money, you guys.
it's-
It's just like incredible how much we can spend.
It's a decent amount.
He's kidding. We have this private joke because I'm always telling him no more spending
No
any
more
more
spending.
money.
So
Granted, it cost us $300,000 to do 50 yards of road.
I know. If we would have
Yeah,
done it
but
10
I'm
years ago, it would have been a lot cheaper.
Yeah, if we'd done what it should have been done, but trying to be net zero. So the next purchase, we're going to sell a bunch of stuff to buy our next purchase.
Service truck.
No, we're not selling much for that for our new sweeper. We're going to sell a bunch of stuff to get the new sweeper, or I'd like to.
See,
So we
all
gotta
that stuff
s-
Corbett saved all these years, it's coming in handy.
Yeah, now we're selling it.
Wish
Yeah.
I could read all that.
Because we're selling.
Yeah, sorry. Unreserved is 5 million, but we've got some bond covenants and some restrictions in those. So we're just about, I would say we're about 2.5-ish million. I mean, I can get you guys a number. I've got to take out impact fees and bond covenant stuff.
Mr. Ballpark is probably.
Yeah, 2.5. We have a healthy account, but all it's going to take is one little. We have over $1 million in savings right now, just pure cash, about 1.3.
Stop it, Ted. Stop it.
Oh, I've got lots of ideas. I didn't know we had that much. Boy, I've got plenty. I got a whole bunch of ideas
No.
now.
And no, that's why I
Yeah.
cringe when Aaron
No.
asks the question because we usually don't say those kind of things because people go, well, yeah, lower water rates. Do all this.
Yeah.
Ted's going to spend it.
And we'll find a way to spend it. I hope- Well, put it this way: we got about 15 million in needs, so
Yeah.
it's just a matter of.
Yeah, I mean, as long as I've been paying attention, we've been putting off roads and kicking that can down the road. So
It's about.
I guess it's
about
time
4
to
million of it.
between needs and wants.
These are all needs. They're like pipelines that are extended beyond their life now,
Those are
roads that
needs.
have beyond their life.
Yep, absolutely.
okay,
Helicopter
Okay,
that we don't
any,
have.
On planning for next year's fiscal budget, we want to get a good head start on that. We'll probably start that in when? March?
Yeah. So we, and I have to apologize for last year because we just kind of did it. We got too late of a jump on it and we're getting to that point right now where we're getting too late. So we like to get the first rendition to the council, the mayor's budget to them at the end of March, 1st of April. Luckily this year, the only people we really need to talk to is the man to your left of there, Mike, and he just wants everything. So you just have to tell him no.
Well, I've got another idea too. I was going to throw out to the committee, but we'll let you keep going.
And then if there's anything computer wise that Lori or Jody need, last year, the year before, Lori went through and tried figuring out all the utilities and stuff, and that just we don't need that kind of stuff. Just if they see stuff in the office that needs to be done, it would be good for the finance committee to know so we can bring it up to the mayor. And then well, you got the fire chief next to you too. So yeah, Ted's a one-stop shop almost this year.
So we'll need budget numbers from Ted.
We need
Fire
an
road.
ambulance. We need a new brush truck.
We need fire numbers. We need
are you
numbers.
gonna do well, you got to figure that out too. The wildland truck, possibly.
That one might, that might take us a little longer to figure out because we got to figure out some personnel issues there. But just FYI, United Fleet Services, they do lease ambulances too. I just found out yesterday.
Okay.
So if we ever want to look at that, that may be a route to go. They do like 10-year leases on those.
As soon as we can bill out for them, I think that would be an awesome thing for the city.
So who else provides numbers? Jody, does she provide?
So,
numbers?
so you can ask Jody, you can ask Lori. I don't think Wayne, unless Wayne has anything for planning commission. The Public Works Committee, so would that be Ben? But Ted's kind of, I mean, really can go to Ted. You'll get 85% of everything you need from Ted, and then whatever Jody and Lori might have to throw in there.
Just
A
keep in mind,
snowplow,
Michael,
maybe ask Dave.
I have an allotment for my duties. Don't take that away
For activities.
for Woodland Hills Days.
Yeah, they get kind of the big stuff, stuff that might be above and beyond. And then ask Dave. He might have fallen asleep right now, but might be interesting to see if he's got some ideas. Like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, he wanted jackets. Just
No, I've fallen asleep. I'm falling asleep because of that breeze coming to be there in 2 weeks. Well, less than 2 weeks, but I'm gonna be by that beach right there probably.
Yeah, you are.
I'll be sleeping.
So Dave, is there anything above and beyond?
No, nothing above and beyond. So really, I think it's on your agenda somewhere buried in there. I
I
know
think
it's been
just
mentioned a couple times,
work
but
with departments and see,
yeah, the big thing for
Needs to
me
be
would be
vetted,
a new
right?
service truck.
which is what we're trying, that's why we tried to get you for the stuff early. I don't know that we have anything
Ted, how
specific.
soon can you get numbers to the committee on your side of things? Could you get them by the end of, mid-March? Would that be possible? Is that soon enough? That is, isn't it?
Yeah, that would be good because I can get some of the other stuff out of the way that utilities and some of the stuff that we just know is going to
Yeah,
We-
some
we
of the budgets
find-
just carry over. There's
surprises or things that we haven't thought of that departments need.
If you do that, Ted, that'd be appreciated. Get us numbers. I'll talk to Jody, get numbers from her.
Yeah,
And you said Ben?
I don't know, Ted, what do you think? Does Ben or any of the other committee heads need to chime in?
the other one I could think of would be Parks and Trails.
they do
Uh,
awesome.
Brian Hutchins?
Yeah, do some work at the park or whatever. They may want to chime in on a budget, lots of budget. So maybe Brian, Brian
Because-
reach out to his Parks and Trails committee,
Well, like last year, they had to get for the playground. And it
the
was
mulch.
The mulch and stuff, and it was pretty expensive and it wasn't really budgeted anywhere.
But we ended up getting it covered through a grant.
Yeah,
So Janet, if I
to have
if I
a little
remember,
for the
oh,
park. Sorry, go ahead.
the mayor wants the finance committee to talk to the council reps and the council reps go talk to their departments, not the finance committee go directly to like Sherry Berger.
Yeah.
I believe that's how the mayor did it. Now it's gonna be a little
Can you
different
go
with
to
Ted
Sherry in
because
that?
No, don't
he's
go to
saying
Sherry.
Go to Brian.
You're going to Brian Hutchings. He's the council member. Go to the council members. on
Go to
the
Brian
committees.
and ask him.
yeah, the only difference would be Ted because Ted is dead. I'm with fire and roads and water. They just cut the
Yeah.
chicks down.
For
Yeah.
activities, I think I would like just a little bit more. Because now we also have the Maple Fest too,
Oh.
festival.
When is that? I would love to come. to that.
I can get you the date, but it's in April.
Um,
Mhm.
Yeah, but oh, there he is. But yeah, so I think that we need a little bit more money in activities as well. I get some donated.
so
I think it's like 10 is all that's
So,
budgeted, but
I think we put you
then
under parks.
oh,
So 12,000 for Woodland Hills. And I'm not sure there was anything else. I think we're kind of throwing everything under Woodland Hills Day. So maybe we should call that city celebrations.
yeah, because what I do is I raise a bunch of money for Woodland Hills Days and then I use it the rest of the year, whatever's left over.
Okay.
And so we use it for Santa and trunk or treat. And we also would use it for the Maple Festival.
Okay. Let me talk to the mayor. I don't think I'll have a problem with that, but let me talk to him first. See if you guys agree, we should change this maybe to city celebrations instead of just Woodland Hills Day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should combine the two too.
yeah.
So parks.
And Ted,
One
you wanna
big
come on
party,
water with-
Maple and Woodland Hills Days all as one event.
Oh, you think?
Have you seen how many turn out to Woodland or Maple Days? That thing is packed.
But here's the thing. I know, I hear that. But the Maple Fest is for people outside of the community to come
Yeah.
see our community. And Woodland Hills Days is for our community. So it's
Yeah.
different.
Maybe if you go up to like Midway, and they do the Swedish or Swiss Days or whatever that is, that's for everybody outside the communities. And I think it'd be a good idea to bring people into our community during those days. And I guess Maple Days does that. But
Yeah.
Woodland
good.
Hills Maple Days.
I know. It'd be fun. Be one less thing for
It'd be
me to
like
have to
Swiss
do.
Days
I wouldn't hate it. We just couldn't give away free dinner to
or Onion
the whole
Days.
state
Is that what
anymore.
Payson is? Onion Days? Or
Yeah,
something like that?
you're right.
Yeah.
Good salmon.
We'll put you in charge. So,
There we go.
I'm okay. I don't need more responsibility.
all right. Anything else on next budget? I've got Ted. Have numbers by mid-March. I'll contact Jody. And then we've got Parks, Brian Hutchings. How about the mayor? Mayor, you get the numbers from the mayor, right? Chris? Don't need to worry about that. right?
Yeah, once the numbers come together, then we put the budget together and present it to council, and they're the ultimate ones that do the deciding vote and everything. And I'm sorry, Mike, I think your
Mid-March
microphone's,
soon enough, Ted.
I think your microphone's dying too, Mike. That was a city council and a half meeting last night, and so they must not have got charged. There's one on the table to your right that Jody was using that was,
Talking about the microphone.
yeah,
He was asking if mid-March was soon enough to have numbers put
That
together.
better, Chris?
yes, thank you. Yes, mid-March would be great.
Be good. Okay, going on in the budget, we've got feasibility of a new service truck, cul-de-sac plow truck. Here we go.
This is just
I've
me
got
as,
that,
oh.
I've got that.
So this is not, this is an updated one here. that just
Oh,
came out
okay.
yesterday. I think Chris will probably pull up there.
Explain to us what this truck is compared to others.
Well, yeah, let me get you my mic.
So before you get to that, Ted, question, did we get new fire trucks this year that we had ordered?
New what?
New fire trucks, 2 of them,
Snow plows.
snow plows.
Yeah, we got the snow plows.
I
Last,
didn't
yeah.
mean, I didn't mean fire trucks.
Yeah,
He knew
Yeah.
what you meant.
Snow plows.
just the opposite, but yeah. Yeah, yeah, we got 2 new snow plows going this year. We got them in the fall and
They're working out okay.
yeah, I mean, like, a few bugs were working out of them, but they're working out. Yeah, they're working out good. So, our service truck that we have downstairs. So we have the 2 snowplow trucks. They're internationals. The equivalent, if you're familiar with the Ford designation, they're equivalent of about a 550, right? And they're big trucks, and that's what we push all our main roads with. The problem with those trucks is they're too big to get into cul-de-sacs. So we have a service truck downstairs, and that service truck historically has been used during the winter to plow cul-de-sacs with because it's smaller wheelbase and can get around the cul-de-sacs better. And then when the non-snowplow times, we take the plow off and use it just for the public works work we have to do we carry tools and stuff with us and do work during the summer. And we've got that service truck downstairs that has been what we've been using, that white one. I don't know if you see it
Is that
rolling
the one
around
with the
town.
little crane on it?
Yes. It's the one with the little crane on it. We don't really use the crane right now and probably won't use a crane.
So if you were to get a new one, you would not get one.
We wouldn't get a crane, right? So we need to replace that truck is seen its days. It does about 5 miles an hour up Woodland Hills Drive. It takes about an hour to fill it with gas. It just, yeah, you pump like 2 gallons at a time. You have to pump, wait for some air to work itself out, pump, wait for air to work itself out. Yeah, Jody went down to fill it one day because last snowstorm it broke down. Power steering pump went out. We had to take it down to Craig Northrup. If you know, he does helps us with a lot of service stuff, and we had to take it down to him late at night, and he was able to hurry and get a pump, and we got it fixed. And
And
Got
so
it
he was
going, but-
sweating by the time he got to the bottom of the hill because it was so hard to steer.
yeah, no power steering. He was, but and then when you come up pushing a plow up Woodland Hills Drive, even if you're not plowing, if you just got the plow on it, it's like 5 miles an hour all the way up. if you listen to council last night, Dave Stone said that whoever is in that truck when it dies gets an award. It's on its last leg. So it's breaking down pretty regularly on us now. So and it's getting tougher and tougher to plow with because it's just hard. It just doesn't push snow real well anymore because of the power and stuff like that. So there's been a desire to replace that truck, and we want something talking within the city and the snowplow drivers and our new public works guy. We want something pretty similar that's smaller, not like our big plows, so that during the winter we can use it to plow cul-de-sacs with the plow on, and then when we're not plowing, take the plow off and then use it just in the spring, summer, fall, whatever, to do service around the city like we do this one, carry tools and stuff like that. We would sell the one we have, plus probably that great, yeah, to someone that's, yeah. And by the way, Chris, if we're interested, United also offered to sell that one for us.
Yeah.
So we'll sell the one we have, and we'll probably also sell that. I don't know if you've seen that gray truck that Craig Northrop used to drive. That's kind of what our service guy drives around now.
That does not have a plow on it.
That does not have, it's an F-150, so it's not big enough to push a plow big enough. But we only use that service truck now that we have for plowing. It's the only time we use it for plowing cul-de-sacs because it's just not viable enough to run around in during the summer. And it's pretty scary, actually. But so he uses the one that Craig used to have, a gray one. He uses that one during the summer and fall to run around, do stuff in. But the thought is we could get rid of those two, sell them, and then get us a new service truck that would replace the service truck we have. So we had United Fleet Services, which is the same people that we leased my truck through, and that loader that we got, we leased that through. They do a lot of leasing for a lot of cities, so they're really familiar with it. Good to work with. Had them put together. So I called Craig. First, I called Craig Northrop because he builds trucks, right? If you get the chassis, he'll actually build all the service boxes on the back end. He built our brush truck down here. And that's what he does for a living, is builds service trucks for the company he works for now. So he's very interested in doing this work for us. And he's much cheaper. United Fleet Services will do it. They send it out to the same people who did our snowplows that took like a year and a half to get done. And when I called United and told them the price so I got a price from Craig to build this out for us for a service truck. And when I called United to give them that price so they could add it into our lease, he was like, wow, he's pretty cheap. I'm like, yeah, and he does great work too. So they actually wanted me to give him his number so they can start calling him to do some of their builds for him. So anyway, this right here. And so he started doing some quick research around. He found an F-350, which is the equivalent of the one we have downstairs right now. It's an F-350, our service truck. It's the only difference with this is it's a 4-door Lariat. I don't know that we need a 4-door nor a Lariat, but
Let's back up 1 second. I don't think they'll lease us anything in the Lariat because the resale value holds up.
Yeah.
But the 4-door, that just kind of defeats our purpose of the cul-de-sacs, doesn't it?
Not really, because the overall length. So what I asked him to look for, so our bed downstairs on our service truck's an 8-foot bed.
Just get a 6-foot bed.
Get a 6-foot bed and a 4-door. And that's what I've asked him for. So that's what this is. It's a smaller bed because we probably don't need quite as much room for tools as we have down there in that truck. We'll get a fuel, because right now we use that truck also to fuel our snow plows. It has a fuel tank in the back, and we use it to fuel snow plows. So we'll get a fuel tank in it and some toolboxes on it, stuff like that to carry tools, and a ladder rack and a few things
But
like
if you
that.
put a fuel tank in the back of it, then that cuts you down to only 4 feet of bed left over.
Yeah.
Is
Which-
that enough space?
I think we don't really use the bed of that service truck now. We use more of the boxes where we store everything. And honestly, I thought about that too, because I asked him to look for a 2-door. And he would look for a 2-door with a longer box. The resale value on those are a lot less and they're a lot harder to sell, he said, at the end, because the 4-doors are what most cities want because most of them have more than one crew guy. Right. So they want something that'll haul a crew. Yeah. And so he says a 4-door is much easier to sell at the end. So, and same with a Lariat, much easier to get rid of.
The residual stays high.
The residual stays higher. So in the end, we get part of that residual back.
And the Lariat is that just the trim level? It's a higher.
A little bit higher trim level. So what basically, and I don't disagree. That's what actually mine is out here. And the one thing that the Lariat comes with that is nice, and that's what Corbett had before in his truck that he drove around was a Lariat, is they have the leather seats in them. And when you're doing service work, leather is much better than cloth because cloth just gets destroyed and dirty and stuff like that. And so the Lariat holds its value better. So you in the end, the net cost is about the same. We're going to pay a little higher for our annual payments of about, what's that, 17.7, but the resale value on it's a little higher, and so we get part of that money back at the end. So their estimate, our net is like 16.3 on that by the time we get part of that resale money back, and that'll be an annual.
That's for over the 3 years.
Yeah, that's an annual payment for 3 years. So 16.3. Well, so yeah, our net payment over 3 years would be 16.3 or 16.4 a year. Now, if that 18,000 is actually 2,000 more than Craig told me, but I asked Bodie to include that in there.
Say that again. Tim.
So the 18, you'll see on that top line, it says with 18,000 uplift, that's the number to take the truck from what it is when we get it and add all the service box stuff to it and the fuel tank and the ladder. That's what Craig's cost is to do all that for us. Craig actually told me 16,000, but I had Bodie add a couple thousand in it just in case we want to change something or something a little different, give us a little wiggle room. If we don't spend all that, they cut us a check back for it.
So you agree to this contractually, but then you have a clawback.
Yeah. What they have to do is they have to go get the financing up front. So they lock you in up front. If you don't spend all that money, they'll just write you a check back and you can use that towards your first payment type thing or whatever. Yeah. So I had him add a few extra thousand to it just in case.
So out the chutes, we're talking 35,700. The official.
Well, it'll be 17.7 a year for 3 years.
Yeah.
That's to be,
What, isn't that 18,000 on top of that?
No,
No, it's
no.
included.
That's included in that payment.
Oh, I didn't understand that. Okay.
Yeah. So that's the truck cost plus the 18,000 uplift. That means we'd pay 17.7 a year.
And is this truck brand new or is it a used truck?
So 2024, I think it's brand new. Yeah, I think it's brand new. And I think it actually comes with the bed on it, but Craig said he can take the bed off. And that's what the United Fleet Services said, that's fine if you pull the bed off. So we can build our service bed on there.
What does the anticipated net rate mean? 16,390.
So our payment will be 17.7 a year, but at the end of the 3 years, they're estimating that the value that us as a city will get back from their resale, we get part of the resale back. So they take it back and they resell it, and we get part of that money back. That 4,000 is what we would get back. So the net price, even though we'll pay 17.7 a year, we'll get 4,000 back at the end. So basically our net cost of this is 16.4 a year.
So in your opinion, is this the best route to go, Chris, rather than just buying an outfit outright?
the nice thing about this is this will work into our rotation that we've talked about with getting a new truck every year. So this will rotate out every 3 years. One of the snowplow trucks will rotate out every 3 years, and then another one will rotate out every 3 years. It kind of fits nicely. We did get, with that, the other truck's a 2008 that we're getting rid of. It's probably not been good for the past 3 or 4 years. So I don't know. These guys, they do Salem, Payson. They do a lot of the big cities that they're just going to leases now instead of purchasing vehicles anymore. It's a cash crunch dump.
That's a good question. I don't know.
On
It's
the
not.
lease, they've got it rated at 12,000.
Yeah, that's what they'll allow us a year, and I don't think we go over. That's $1,000 a month. I don't think we.
But
go
these
over that.
leases also come with service agreements, right, Chris? Do they have service agreements?
We can get them, but
I'm not-
doesn't include a service.
This one
agreement.
doesn't?
No.
Okay.
Neither does my truck. Neither does the loader. When they need service, we just service them.
But the plows do, right? Did the plows have a service agreement? I thought they did.
They have warranties, so there's warranty items. If something goes wrong under warranty, because they're all under warranty.
Okay.
they'll fix it. But like the oil change and stuff like that, we just do it because it's actually less expensive to have Craig do them for us than to buy their service package.
Probably. Makes sense.
I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
From my point of view. And something the city needs. So it's a need, it's not a.
I think your plow drivers will appreciate it. Every time they jump in that thing, they're just waiting for it to die on them.
I'll appreciate it because I'm in a cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
The cul-de-sac doesn't get plowed well.
You're one of them that is in the cul-de-sac.
Hey, can I,
Well,
can I
and
ask a question?
Pineview, where I'm at, is another one that they use it on. And the other morning, I texted Jody at like 6:30 in the morning. She didn't respond right away, but I was like, "What is that sound?" Because it just made it just.
Mhm.
And when they were, and I was hoping they weren't in a new plow because when they were scraping, it sounded like the metal was catching on the road, and like it just sounded awful. It just. Anyway, and then she texted me back and said it was a service truck, and I said, "Okay, enough said." But it just sounded like it wasn't going to
Well,
make it.
from a safety standpoint also, and
Liability.
liability, it makes sense to. I
Yeah,
would-
you lose the steering on that thing.
Yeah.
Whether you damage the driver or somebody else's property or another vehicle, you're quickly gonna.
They've actually got a bail out protocol for that truck.
I think from the.
And that's how they bail out of it if something goes wrong.
from the
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with the service truck, we're talking about the truck itself, which is awesome. Thank you so much. Um, is there anywhere in this discussion of getting a new V-plow? Or are we going to continue to use the current V-plow that is falling apart a piece at a time?
It's not included in this cost. I guess that could be a separate discussion.
I don't know what Dave just asked.
So there, we have a V plow that goes on front of that service truck, and he said the V plow is falling apart too, and we need a new
Okay, so
plow
we need
for
a
it.
new plow for it.
Yeah, I don't,
What's
Dave.
that?
I
Is
guess
that a-
maybe what we'd have to do is go price one out and see what they are.
Yeah,
and-
I just think that with all these
Different.
leases, that the discussion, the overall discussion for every one of these trucks is when we turn in a truck, in a sense, we're turning in everything on it.
Yeah.
I know that may not be the case, but
Yeah.
that's the way that it should be viewed because plowing is pretty destructive on these things, and the longer that we have them, they break down. That's just the reality. So if we do not get a new V plow, we'll have a new truck and we'll have a plow that's broken down half the time. And so we make it so that we have a new truck, but now we have a different problem. Now we have a problem with everything else associated with plowing associated with that truck. So just a something to think about.
It's a good point.
Dave, do you have any idea what a V-plow would cost to replace?
Yeah, we're probably talking, I mean, that one is actually a really good one. It's been around for a long time. We could certainly sell it. We could take the actual blade off of it. That's still good. So you're talking about the plow itself. You're probably talking, I don't know, with the proper apparatus, a little bit more heavy duty apparatus, you're probably talking about $5,000.
And I would suggest we
proper
buy the
controls.
plow outright rather than make it part of the lease because
Yeah, I mean,
this will be a service truck more than a plow truck.
yeah, that's right. So, I mean, there's ways to sell those once they become unusable. This one's worked for a while, but it has broken down a lot. I'm talking just the plow itself. I mean, the V plow. So just, yeah, we can price it out, but it's not overly expensive. It's not cheap, but that's,
I'm seeing about roughly $8,000 plus some hardware.
yeah,
So-
yeah. And I talked to Craig about getting a joystick as opposed to the what they call the dongle, because those, anyway, just think about pushing down on something for a long period of time and then it burning up the lines, where the joystick doesn't function that same way, and it's actually cheaper to get that and put that in. And Craig can do that. It's the same. You can just buy that as a package and install it. So I don't know if people understand what that is, but it's the difference of holding like a holding some kind of little gaming tool that you push different buttons on to do different things, as opposed to like a little joystick that's like a toggle. Anyway, it's just things like that. And we can certainly price that out, but to your point, it certainly wouldn't be above, $5,000 or $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 to outfit it with a more heavy duty V plow and the proper controls. And that would be installed too, I believe.
What do you use?
Anyway, just something to think about. So thanks.
Cul-de-sacs,
Get more flexibility to.
a little bit better turning in the cul-de-sacs with the V plow. But I don't know, dude. Do we really need a Can we do a regular plow versus a V plow? Would that be better, or do we like the V plow?
No. So I shouldn't have said it that way. That was kind of mean. The V plow is very specific because
And
of
that
the
might hurt
sacks, or
my
even
feelings.
those that aren't really cul-de-sacs, but we call them cul-de-sacs. In order to
Yeah.
push the snow, if you have a straight blade, you basically have to plow like 2 or 3 times more than you would if you have a V plow that basically you're basically have like a shovel that's filling up with snow and then you dump it into the trees or whatever, right? As opposed to, okay, you got a straight plow that now you've got to go backwards and forwards and clean up all the messes that you're leaving because you're not gathering the snow, if that makes sense. Plus, a V plow is better in the parking lots, where if you just have the straight blade, you're basically going over it like 2 or 3 times more. So just, I mean, it's one way or the other. You're either paying more money for a slightly, and I talk slightly cheaper plow, as opposed to a V plow that lets you corral the snow and take it off and push it somewhere. If that helps kind of maybe describe it.
Okay, go on to number 7, new fire brush truck. Is there any more discussion on that? I should have asked that, sorry.
I don't think so.
Do
That's,
we need to
Just-
approve it? Do we need to?
Yeah, well, probably need to decide if you want to make a recommendation to, city council will ask what your recommendation
Well,
was.
I thought I said that, but
You kind of did.
I said, I think the consensus is here. I don't think I know the consensus is that we would certainly vouch for this opportunity to buy this F-350 Lariat. Do you want to see that in a motion or?
It wouldn't hurt to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Okay, Mike's talking. I'll do the second part. Tim does the third part.
Okay, I'll just make a motion then that we approve this budgetary item for a 2024 Ford Super Duty F-350 Lariat as has been presented to us this evening with payments of, for 3 years, per year of $17,724.
and maybe I would just suggest amending the motion that, or something similar. My
Okay.
concern is if we go to council and this truck's not available. I mean, it's one of those things where when they find it, you don't jump on it, you may not get it, and you may have. to
Or
do
something similar to this offering.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, new fire brush truck.
I- Yeah, I think we can probably, well, I'll give you kind of the premise behind it real quick, and then we might be able to postpone this one a little bit. So our brush truck, that is what we call Brush 192. It's our older brush truck that we've had for a while. It's the one that our full-time wildland crew uses when they're here seasonally working, and it's one they use to go out on fires. The last couple of years, it's broke down on us probably 3 or 4 times a year, if not more, while it's been out on fires. In one incident, it actually kind of put him in an unsafe situation. When we talk to a lot of mechanics, there's a mechanic down in Fish Diesel down in Springville we go to. He's really good. It's actually son-in-law of Kim and Lisa Clark, if you need those guys. And he's really good, but he has commented that that particular engine in that type of Ford they did is just not a good engine. They have had a lot of troubles with it. I think it's a 6.0 or something like that, 6.0, I believe. And he said they just had a lot of troubles with it. And so that truck keeps breaking down on us. So the thinking is that if we keep a full-time wildland crew, that we would look at getting a new brush truck for the city, which would be more of kind of a sprint type brush truck, a quick response truck, they call it. And then we would give the one that the city uses now to the fire crew and then sell the old one. So in other words, the city's going to get a new one that we might, and then the fire crew gets the one that the city uses now, which is a 2019. And it's got a good motor in it, really good truck. It has a lot of space. The other thing they don't like about the one is when they go out on the road, they're gone for 2 weeks and they have to pack all their gear with them. That truck's really congested. They can't get all their gear hardly in the cabinets and stuff, where the truck that we have in the city, the 2019, has a lot of cabinet space. And so the thought is that if we're going to keep our crew going on fires, we probably should look at investing in a new brush truck.
Is that what we sent our firefighters to California with?
them in the new engine.
No, they sent them they're in the Type 1 structure engine. Yeah, they're in the new.
They're not doing wildland.
fire truck. Right. They're on structure protection down there. Yeah. So the thought is that if we're going to keep this crew going and keep this program going with our wildland program, then we probably need to start looking at getting a new truck for the program. Just because it's not great to send them out on fires and they keep breaking down. And then they probably 3 times last year, they had to come back home during the middle of a fire to get the truck worked on. You know, it doesn't look great for our department. It's doesn't make us money because
I was going to say it kind of tarnishes the reputation.
yeah, and we lose money because now they're off for a couple days while we're getting a truck fixed, and they're rather than being on a fire making money. We had one case where it broke down right on top of Skyline, and it took 2 tow trucks to get it off the hill, so it costs a bit of money. Which I'll have to show you that picture one day. It was actually kind of an interesting story. And I know that the guy is out of Salina, Johnson Towing, that went to tow it for us. And I Mark Johnson's his name. My cousin's married to him. So he took one truck up there, one tow truck to get it, and his tow truck broke down up there, and he couldn't get it back over the hill. So he had to go get his tow truck that he tows diesels with and go up there and hook his tow truck up to his tow truck to our brush truck. So there was a line of 3 vehicles coming off the mountain, 2 tow trucks and a brush truck. It was pretty interesting. But
Was he coming down?
and I actually got a
Fairview Canyon?
they came down the backside over in Price
Oh, okay.
because we took over to Price. So I actually, Lance, our crew guy, got a picture of it. So I've got a picture of our truck being towed by 2 tow trucks. And that was my captain. Wow, this is a heck of a brush truck. It takes 2 tow trucks to get it off the mountain. It doesn't give up. But anyway, but right now, I think before we make that decision, and unless Chris wants to go a different direction, we've really still got to figure out our crew and whether we keep that program going or not.
The point of having a wildland crew, obviously just for training in case there's a fire in Woodland Hills, but in the meantime, they're a profit center because we lease them out to other fires around the country.
Yeah, so we run under 2 state contracts. One's called IROC, which is through the Utah Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands. And the other one's EMAC, which is through the Division of Emergency Management. EMACs are major catastrophe fires, and that's what our crew's out under now. This is the first EMAC we've ever been out on. In fact, I think it's the first one in 2 years the state's been on. Most of them we go out are on IROC. And we run under those state contracts. So when we make our crews available during the fire season, and they go out on these fires. You know, they've been to Idaho, Oregon, Washington, Nevada, and then Utah. So when they're out on these fires, they're making money. And then we use that money to support the program because when they're not on fires, they're in town doing all the mitigation work in town. You know, when you see them going around and doing a lot of cutting of trees and stuff like that for our city. So
They just cleaned out Broad Hollow Canyon. The
they
last 2 years.
2 years they spent down Broad Hollow Canyon, getting that all safe for us and cleared out. So
And
they
these are
actually
local Woodland Hills folks.
No.
sometimes so we have to have what they call
Jamin worked there for a year.
yeah.
two.
Janet's son worked for him for a couple of years. We had Aiden Hutchings, Brian Hutchings' son this last year. Our engine boss, the one who's kind of over the crew, he's out of Salem. And then 2 of the crew members we had this year, one was out of Provo. We just hire them and we pay them.
Oh.
So we pay them, but
But is their number one priority, if you will, to respond to
Mhm.
a pole mountain
Yeah.
fire?
because that's where they make their money. So when they go to Oregon, Montana, they're getting paid. Our truck is making I think that truck makes about $1,800 a day when it goes out on these fires. Plus it pays for the crew, the fires do. So we actually are making money on those fires. And then that money that's generated, we use to pay them while they're in town
Salary
doing mitigation,
for the rest
pay
of
their
the year.
salary. While they're in town doing we
Doing
use them
mitigation.
to pay, when they're doing mitigation work. We use that money they generate on the fires to pay them when they're in town, pay their salaries. And generally, we've been over the 3 years. This is our 3rd year doing it, and I think I can safely say we don't know how by far we're in the black, right? So the city has actually made money off this program too, as well as we get the benefit of having crews here working most of the summer, fall, and spring doing mitigation in our city. So it's been a really, I think, great program. We've just got to, we want to run some numbers. We've got to look at some crew things that may be some changes we're hearing. So we want to make sure we get that solidified. But if we do, I think the next step is we're going to want to look at getting a reliable brush truck for the crew to go in.
And the reason we don't let the crew go in the good truck is because it's also fire season here. So we
Yeah.
leave the good truck here to protect our city.
That was my next question. You just answered it.
Yeah.
Because I kind of sense sending out trucks on these fires, even though, we're wanting another one, what kind of risk does it put us at when they're out on fires and when we have a fire?
And that's why we keep always our brush truck here, our good brush truck. Then we've also got now 2 engines. So even though we got the 1 engine out on a fire right now in California, and it's making about $4,300 a day. In addition
California
to,
pays really well.
in addition to what the crew is, it covers all our crew costs. The,
Caught in the porta potty, you mean?
yeah, the port, yeah. These guys are
Getting
living
free haircuts, what do you mean?
free haircuts in a gym. What more could they ask for? But we've still got our other engine here that covers our city while they're gone. In fact, we had a call Sunday and we took our,
A fire or a medical?
it was a gas leak.
But to Brian's point that he made, and you're probably getting to this, but the other communities also know that our truck is out, like Salem and Elkridge, right? They know that our main truck is out, and so they come to us. They came
Yeah.
to assist.
When we had that call on Sunday, I've called the other department chiefs and let them know, hey, we've got a truck in California. So we have what they call automatic aid with Salem in Spanish. So whenever there's a call for a fire engine, Salem and Spanish are automatically paged with us. So on that gas leak, we had both a Spanish Fork fire engine and a Salem fire engine in addition to ours.
So we were covered.
We're covered pretty, yeah, so
vulnerable.
our city's covered pretty well. So anyway, I don't know that there's anything to really make a decision on tonight, because I think, if I remember right, Chris, we were going to put together some better numbers and figure out a few crew things first, and then,
Well, that one's kind of tabled, but just
There's another thing I want to bring up, and it concerns fire. And that's, we're experiencing this as we've watched the California fires.
Mm.
We're at high risk up here. We all know that. If a fire ever started, especially if the wind blowing right down below us, we're toast. Fires the way they're going. And is there any money that can be budgeted for the thinning of brush and some of these places that are so thick with brush down below us?
well, it depends on what it is. So for example, if it's city property, that's what our crews do when they're in town. They go through all these. They did a really good job in Broad Canyon. If it's private property, then it's up to the private property owner to do that. And it's just something that we do have a ordinance that requires owners to keep their lots cleared of dead vegetation and stuff that could be, high fire hazards.
The city pays
Or
for the
thinning
chipping, but
trees.
the owners are required to get it off their property up to the
Yeah.
road.
We cover the chipping and we cover the crew when they're in town doing all their work. But as far as private properties go, it's up to the private property owners to obey the orders. So I guess we do have, I think, coverage on what we can cover as a city. It's just encouraging property owners to do what they need to be
So
doing.
can the,
But when you've got vast swaths of land that's nobody's living on, so
Yeah.
there's nobody actively taking care of their yard, then nobody's getting around that.
Yeah. And we even offer our crew to citizens. You can hire our crew for about half the cost of a free company to come and do it for citizens. And we get probably half a dozen a year that take us up on the offer.
I just have a little fear in that, and I think, the finance committee could look at some budgetary things there to help with that. I don't know if the council, from an ordinance standpoint, could beef up that ordinance so people are forced to really think. Because we live in a pretty dangerous zone.
Is the city the one that does the inspections every year? I've had 2 since I've been up here, where they come and look at what's around.
You voluntarily asked them to come to your place to do
Or we'll volunteer at the service as well. So the 2 that you had done, one of them was a service the fire department did one year. And that was just a service that we as department members decided to take on. And we went around to all the properties in Woodland Hills. We filled out a form and we mailed it to everybody, and then we visit with them.
Oh, so you inspected
We inspected it.
purposefully as opposed to voluntarily me just saying, I want to have.
Yeah. Yeah. We went out and we did what they call curbside assessments because we can't go on properties unless we get permission. So we did what they call curbside. And there's a list of a handful of things you look for danger. We have a checklist, and we went through and we did curbside from curbside. We just looked at the properties and, okay, are you okay here? Okay here. And it was a courtesy. We sent all those notices out. It was mainly just to give information to residents, and we got some good response off that. We had people calling us and saying, hey, yeah, what can I do? Come and help me out. And we got some callbacks to go give people ideas and stuff like that. So we did that a couple of years ago.
What sort of response was there for non-homeowners, just vacant land?
That one was a little tougher, especially since like half the envelopes got sent back from those guys because some of them are shareholders and have multiple owners, and you don't know where to send them. You send them to the address, but then they get kicked back. But I did have like the lot across from me. The guy lives in California, vacant lot, and he called me. You know, we put our phone numbers on there. Whoever did the survey put their phone number on there, and people could call us. And I got a few phone calls from people who had vacant land. Said, "Hey, what can I do? You know, it's I don't want to be the responsible for the city burning down type thing." But some just ignored it. Some took advantage of it. We're trying to figure out how to do that better. That was the surveys weren't bad. It was trying to do all the mailings. That was just a nightmare. I'm trying to find all the addresses. I mean, we had the addresses of the house, but like you said, all the vacant lots. We were trying to mail them all those guys, you know.
So then
Half
you
of
go
them
look
were,
around the county and see what the mailing address is.
yeah, you go
Okay.
and it's some PO box back in Maryland, right? And it's
Yeah.
like, what, and then you get the envelope back. So we're trying to, and just Jody sitting there licking stamps, 700 stamps, type thing. And so we're trying to find a way that we could maybe do this through like an app or something where we could do a curbside but we'd have to have people sign up for it. And it just automatically sends them an email. We did your curbside. Here's your results. If you have questions, call us. Some way to make it more efficient. The inspections weren't that hard. It was all the work to get everything, all the notices out and everything like that. So that was the one we did. We did that a couple of years ago. We want to continue that annually, but it's just, we got to find a better way to do it. The second one was actually a state offering this last year. So the state had some grant money that they needed to spend, and they called up and asked if they could spend it on our city. And it was a two-part process. One was they offered, you could sign up to come and have them do a survey. And it was a state guy that came and did it. State fire guy came and did the inspections, gave people ideas. But then they also were one of the crews that were up here during the fall when we had the fall chipper days. That was the state that put up the money to do that for us. So that was for some state grant money that they want to spend in our city because they know how well we do at mitigation work up here. We are really one of the better cities in, I would say, almost the United States. I sit on a call every month that is a bunch of wildland chiefs and government agencies, Forest Service, BLM, talking just about wildfire. And when we talk about some of the things we do here, it's a lot of these other communities in Utah and other states are just amazed at what kind of effort we put forth. So that was so the state knew that, and that's why they spent some of their money.
And I agree with that. I think we as a city do a great job. I look at some of the lower lands down there and how much brush, fuel there is down there. And that's just concerning.
Yeah,
If it ever
yeah.
gets going.
Well, and I mean, to be honest, when I saw that first day when the fire went through all those homes, I mean, I was triggered because I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh my gosh. And everybody I know, like everybody up here that I've talked to, we all feel the same, right? Like, scary. That could be us.
We've escaped 2 times that I know of here. I mean,
Yeah.
major fires
Mhm.
come and take our homes out, especially at the top end.
Yeah. And I mean, that day when it's winter here, so obviously there's no fire danger, but the day it happened, when I drove up and hit the roundabout, our flags were going crazy. Like, we had a lot of wind, and I thought, it's windy here too in the summer. So sometimes.
It is. Anyway, just some thoughts I just wanted to throw out there while we were talking fire. Let's go to the next one on obtaining a loan or a GO bond to finish roads and water lines.
Yeah, Ted.
I don't know,
You're
Chris, do you want to
Senator
kick
Moore.
this one off? I feel
Here's
like
your
I
14
feel like
million.
I'm sitting here asking for all the. Do you
You
want,
kicked
do
off
you
the
want to
brush
get, or do you
truck.
want me to give the background and let you talk about the ideas?
Well, let me just briefly say, when Steve Lordson was mayor, we looked at redoing every single road, every single sign, every single water line in the city. It was about $5.5 million. That's about 2013, 2014. Regretting that we didn't push it harder to do that, because now looking to do something like that, and that's what we're originally, when the mayor and I were looking at this, is what would it take to redo all the roads that haven't been done and to finish all the water lines? And Ted, we just stabbed at $16 million. I don't know if that's even close or in the ballpark. So he had me go to Zion's Bank and just see what is our limit that we could borrow. And Zion said it's right about 5.5 to $6 million. So then we came back to Ted and said, well, if we had $6 million, what could we, or what should we get done? Is this something we should even look at doing? Totally going all out as far as all of our credit and doing this. It's not sounding as good as it used to, but he wanted to bring it up in this committee because there's an option that the residents can vote on, a general obligation bond. And then Ted's got some specifics that could get done with the general obligation bond. I think it has to pass 51%. And it's a tax that's just on your bill, like your Central Utah Water, your Nebo School District, all that kind of stuff. It shows up on there as a tax.
So there'll be the Woodland Hills City line, and there'll be another line that says Woodland Hills City Geo Bond or something.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So we've got maybe just the specific. We had a pavement management plan completed this last year, and basically what that is we hired a consultant group that went through our entire city using AI technology, which was pretty cool. And they go through and they survey all the roads based on a bunch of criteria set by the Asphalt Association. And they determine the condition of the road and then what type of treatment is needed to fix that road based on its condition. There's various treatments from just what they call a microseal or macroseal, which is where they just put that kind of that seal layer over top of a road, or all the way up to like we did when we did our waterline project, where they pulverized all the pavement up, recompacted all as part of the road base, and put all new pavement down, or a mill and fill. Mill 2 inches off and then put new asphalt in, called that mill and fill. And the need for our city was various treatments ranging through all three of those on our roads. We have 17 miles of roads in the city. The total dollar number that was estimated as part of that pavement management plan to do that was about $4 million to do our entire city, with varying treatments throughout the city.
The appropriate treatment
for the appropriate road.
Yeah.
Yep. We're actually have got approved through the council to do 500,000 of that this spring. In fact, we've already got a contractor on board ready to go. We're going to do microseal over 4 miles of road where we put that water line in 3 or 4 years ago. And if you have questions, go back to TED Talks. Anyway, I know you all just read those, so we have about 4 million in roads repairs that would redo our roads with the treatments needed. We've got about 8 miles of water line that's that 50 plus years old. That really is on us. It's exceeded its life. So now it's, like I said, we only had one break this last year, but we're on borrowed time really with it. And that roughly is probably going to be in the neighborhood, I would guess, of $5 to $6 million. So we're probably talking for the roads and the water line, $10, $11 million to do everything. Now, when we did this water line,
All of us are at the top of the line.
yeah,
It's the people below us that have to worry.
yeah, the 8 miles that we have are over on Maple, basically from Woodland Hills Drive, everything that direction, Sky Lake, Maple, what do we call it? East Lake View, East Valley View, Schoolhouse. Those are all the roads that need to be redone. Or there's water lines that need to be redone.
But that also means
Well, the 10 to 11 mil includes water.
Yeah. Now, when we did the other options, when we did this water line project about 3 years ago, we did both because you don't really want to.
Right.
You want to do the water line road at the same time, right? You don't want to put in a new road and then come back a year later and tear it up for water line. So over here, when we did this project, we did new water line and we pulverized, what they call pulverize and repave the road. So you take the asphalt, you pulverize it all up, you mix it in with the road base, and then you recompact it so it gives you a better road base section. And then you put all new asphalt down. That's what we did over there. That cost us almost $1 million. It was just about $900,000 a mile to do that. It was about $3.6 million project for 4 miles of water line and road. So if you did, for example, these 8 miles and you had to pulverize and repave all of it, you know, you're probably talking $7.5 million. But then that takes away from that $4 million number to do the roads, because you would do that as part of a water line project or something like that. If that makes sense. So net, you're probably 11 million dollars.
And what did you say our borrowing capability is, Chris?
5.5 to 6.
0.5.
So that's why we're looking at the geo bond option or maxing out the city. And I don't know about maxing out the city is the best option. Geo bond, it's, it's 50-50. The residents want to go for that and have a $12,000 to $12 million on their property tax for the next 25 years.
Well, the thing that we have to look at, one of the things we have to look at is just what you mentioned, that if we do it now, what's it going to be 10 years from now?
Yeah.
And is that the better option? Is it better to do it now when prices are where they're at rather than what they'll be 10 to 15 years from now?
How much would a West Loafer would have cost 5, 6 years ago?
5, 6 years ago, you'd probably been in the 200-ish or so range. I mean,
Yeah.
construction costs, they've mellowed a little bit. There for several years, they were an average rate of about 10% a year. They're probably a little bit lower than that right now, but inflation's up a little bit. So I don't know I don't know that probably the net's about the same.
I mean, ultimately, with the geo bond, we have access to more, right? So we go to the residents and try and get them to vote for it. But if they don't, and they just stand up against it, then we say, okay, well, because we couldn't get the full amount, then we're going to have to just do the way that we can do it through the city council, max out the city's regular borrowing capacity. And we're not going to be able to get as much, and it's going to end up costing us more. So it's more a matter of the council doing a good job of selling it to the city. And I say council, and including us as part of that, subsidiaries of the council, to explain. I mean, Spanish Fork City did the same thing when they tried to do the rec center. They tried to do it with a geo bond, and the city voted it down. Pleasant Grove did the same thing. They voted it down, and so then the city went back and refigured out a way to do it internally, so they didn't have to get all the citizens' vote.
Yeah.
But it wasn't what they'd originally wanted or planned. But they did try and max it first with the citizens' vote.
Yeah, I mean, I would see that as there's essentially 3 options: geo bond and trying to get it all done, max out our capacity and do what we can for that, which I think we would want to start with some of those water lines and roads over there, get them replaced, and just do them both at the same time. Or we just keep doing what we're doing, and that's try and patch things up and get by, and just spend what we can a year trying to maintain it. That's a little bit what's got us in the spot we're now, but it's something that's doable. We've got a plan with the asphalt management plan to work it out over the next 5 or 6 years to try and get through all the roads over the next 5 or 6, 7 years, spending so much a year going through what the plan outlines for us. It's the water line that's the tricky part, because if you do water line, you want to do as much as you can. And, like I said, 8 miles is going to be, I mean, that would spend the entire capacity of the cities.
Does a geo bond give us better interest?
Yeah, the geo bond would give us better, because the lien holders have real property basically, that they can attach, quote unquote. Yes, we can get slightly better. I bet it's only, I'd have to check with Zions, but half a point, but still half a point on $12 million is a lot of money.
We did during the first phase.
Grant, what do you mean?
Grant money, excuse me.
Yeah, that was mostly, so that's low interest loan. There is that option. We wouldn't get the entirety of what we need. We'd have to plan a project. You're probably looking maybe up to 5 million or something like that. And the one we got for that last water line project, it would have to go specific to water if we pursued that same avenue, because it was through the Division of Drinking Water. And they do offer a little bit better interest rates. The caveat there is that they look at our water rates and they use a formula, for lack of a better term, to determine if we can it's called an affordability calculation they do. And if they determine that our water bill is sufficient enough that we can take all loan, they give it to you all loan. And it's usually about a 1.5 less than what the going interest rate is. If they determine that your water bill affordability criteria is less than it's 1.75, but then they will give you enough grant money to get you back to that 1.75 number. And that's what happened last time. Out of the 3.6, we got, I think 360,000 of that is grant, and the rest was all 0% interest loan on that one. So that one turned out to be a really good deal. But
And maybe we do a hybrid. Maybe we do that and
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Their Division of Drinking Water, I don't know. I would hope we could, if we did go that route, we could get a good deal with them again. When all the ARPA money came out, of course, every community in the city applied for money there, and they actually got arrears. They actually loaned out more than what they had. So they're still trying to make up a little bit of a deficit, but it's always, put your need in.
Well, this is just conversation. I don't think the mayor wants to do anything right now with this, but just let you guys know this is what's been thought of. There's the other things that are a little more pressing. And then the next one too, number 9, the backup generator, is just to bring it to your attention, and maybe we might bring this back to the finance committee in 4, 6, 8, 12 months.
On the previous one, I mean, my personal opinion, the geo bond, I think, try that, right? Try it.
Yeah, I think you try it.
And then if it doesn't pass, then you look at your other options.
Well, go for the lower interest rate first. Start at the lowest and work your way up. So if the drinking water is the best option, do that. Then the geo bond to do that. Then the
I agree with,
city
Yeah,
do that.
I agree with Sarah.
Yeah, I could always call Drinking Water and just see where they're at right now. I know the guy up there that's over their funding program.
Here, BYU's got a lot of NIL money. They don't know what to do with it. They're giving that away.
Get some BYU money.
Yeah, yeah.
What do we got to do?
Have a
Yeah.
really good basketball player.
So
We almost
backup
had their coach in town. If we wouldn't have had the
Backup
Fires,
gen-
we would have had their coach here.
Yeah.
Generator, what's this
They actually
about?
bought a
You need
lot.
Backup generator?
So couple things. So we have a booster station down here. We have water that we share well with Salem, over Maple Canyon. We have 40% of it. Salem has 60% of it. The way we get it into our water tank up here is there's a booster station down at Maple Court. And years ago, the city had bought a generator a backup generator. It's the building itself, the booster pump station itself is fitted to be able to plug a generator into in the event the power goes out. So if we had to get water through that source, we could then use a backup generator to pump it up to the tank. This kind of came up last summer. We had an instant where in June, our well up here went out. The motor went out on the pump. So that well was down, our Broad Hollow well. That's our main source of water. That's what we mainly use for the city. The pump went out. We spent 2 weeks getting the pump replaced. In the middle of that 2 weeks, the power went out. That's when we had that big power outage during the summer. Power went out. I did not sleep for an entire day just watching our water tank do this because I had no way to get water out of Maple Canyon because we didn't have any power at the booster station. And this well was down getting fixed. So I was sweating bullets, and we were just about ready to send a notice out to the citizens saying, stop using water. We don't know when we're going to get water back. Luckily, the power came back on. We were able to catch back. It scared me, to say the least. So we started a discussion then about getting a backup generator that would be like on a trailer, that if that happens again, we can pull it down to the booster station, plug it in, and power the booster station. And I can pull water out of that tank until we can't get no more water. Now, in theory, if we're losing power everywhere, we're going to lose power out of the well. But there's a storage tank up there with the Maple Canyon too that we could use a portion of that along with our storage tank to help get us a little bit more time. But I can't do that unless I have a backup generator.
But is that backup generator something we need to own or something we just call Ace Rents and go rent for a day or two?
So you could rent them. I think if it's in the event of a major incident, you might have a little tougher time to get them. And it'd be the timing of it. Like if it happens on Saturday evening they're closed. I mean, it's a thing where I have to have it going with like in an hour or two.
How much power do you have to generate? How big for generator?
Let's see, they're about 125 horsepower, so like 100 kilowatts, something like that. Generator. Not big. So we actually, so that's part one.
And you would want it mobile so you could use it at multiple different locations since we had tow behind.
So the city building here is also set up to hook up a backup generator too. In fact, we were just talking about that with Alan today, Wakefield, if you know who he is. He's a resident, lives here in town, who's actually an electrician, works for an electrical company. He did a lot of the electrical on this new portion of the city building. And so he was here today to help us on electrical issue. And he was explaining to us how this is all set up for backup power. It's never been put in. It's all ready to go. The idea at the time was to put in a permanent generator here. And so we'd have backup power. He said the cost is probably about $8,000 to put in a backup generator to hook up to the city. That'd be a permanent one that we could up here. So
That'd be a permanent.
that'd be a permanent one here. But because our thought was, do we get a mobile one that would work both at the booster and both at the city building? And we could use it either place. But if the power's out for the city, we're likely going to need both of them going. And do we want to share one, or do we look at getting a permanent one here for about $8,000 and then maybe at some point get a mobile one we could use at that booster station? And when we finish our well project up here that we're working on right now, that one has a backup generator. It just needs to be hooked up.
You're saying Broad Hollow already has backup?
Mhm. It's got a generator sitting there. It's just not hooked up yet. It will be by summer.
What's the cost for the mobile?
I don't know. I'd have to get a cost on it. They're probably $5,000, $6,000, $7,000.
So it's not huge.
Yeah.
50,000.
I mean.
Or do we get a mobile one and just share it between these sites or
But
any
if the
sites?
power
we
goes
need it?
down, you're gonna need it at both places.
Yeah.
What do you need power at the city center for as opposed to
Emergency
Water.
communications.
So the idea that when they built this backup system here, the idea they had at the time was that the city center, one, is going to be an emergency operations center. Could be, depends on the disaster. But secondly, if it's just a power outage, it was also to facilitate a gathering place for maybe residents if they need to gather somewhere that has heat. If it's in the middle of the winter and they need heat, lights, got a fridge, a few things like that to keep some food. That was the idea when it was built, according to Alan. When they put this building in and put it's all been built for a backup generator. It's just got to be installed and hooked up, basically. So
Yeah, Aaron,
that was their idea.
you'll see to your left, if you don't leave that room, but walk past the door there and look to the left at the wall, it kind of inserts and there's a bunch of plugs kind of higher. They were talking maybe that would be a mobile or a command center right there with lots of plugs, internet connections and that kind of stuff. So they did plan for it, but as we learned in the wildfire, we won't be able to do it in the middle of a fire. But man, in the middle of the winter, it would be a great place. We have two sources of heat there. That also is nice.
I never really knew until today when I was talking to Alan. That's kind of what he explained when they originally built this facility, was that it would become a place where in the middle of winter, people need to come and get warm and set up. We'd have a spot for them to
I
go.
would think what makes sense is a mobile generator. I think hook up here, but if you're talking about two generators.
Where else would you need one?
Six-
Ed, where else would you, for the mobile, where would you need it other? If you got two permanent ones and put one down at that pump station and one here.
Then we wouldn't need a mobile one. Yeah.
You would need a
That's
Those-
really the only
those
sites
are-
we have.
Those Generac, I'm getting one for my home, and it'll power my whole home, but it's only about $5,000.
Yeah, they're not that. I mean, we could probably do the booster station probably even for $5,000 or something like that. I think this in here was around, Alan said probably be about
And it's
$8,000.
automatic. If power goes out, it kicks on,
And it runs off natural gas.
or propane.
That isn't
The
the
one-
amperage on the pumps that causes us to have to get a bigger generator because of the amps.
Well, it goes by with pumps. It could be, but it's generally the way we size generators for pumps is it's 75% of the horsepower of the pump is what you need. So our pumps are 125 horsepower down there. So I would say you'd probably look at a 100 kilowatt generator to back up one of the pumps because you probably only run one at a time.
What does that mean in wattage? 2,000 Honda, that's a 2,000 watt generator.
Yeah, that's, or a 2 kilowatt. We need 100 kilowatt.
Yeah, Lowe's has got one on sale for $13,000 or 12,197. So they're a little bit more, but I don't know. I almost wonder for that price, would it be better just to mount them and just leave them there? Like Tim was saying, they just turn on automatically.
Yeah.
Yeah, rather than have a mobile one.
Yeah.
I agree.
And that's what the city had actually, we actually had a mobile one at the booster station, but it wasn't sized for the booster station. We had to sell it. We just recently sold it.
And it was
Yes,
military,
you never know when you need it.
What's
You need
that?
it, You need it.
the military surplus. It was,
Yeah, it was an old military surplus one that was bought on the surplus thing and turned out not to be the right size, I guess. That's the story I hear. It'd been sitting there for years, so we finally sold it to a resident, actually. So it's still in town.
Probably not hooked up.
Has the
No,
council-
I heard it had a few more issues than he expected.
Has the council discussed it?
No, we
We
talked
sold as
about
is, so.
the one that was sold because it was the wrong size and it had never been hooked up. It just sat there for years and
Yeah.
years and years.
Yeah.
Had old gas in it or something.
Old gas, batteries were shot.
Yeah, we talked about the one, like deciding to sell that one, but we haven't
I would
discussed.
propose you put it in your budget, Ted, and then let's see where
Yeah.
that goes.
I got to tell you, if we backed up this building, city building, Alan Wakefield would jump for joy. It's a sore spot for him.
Because it hasn't ever been
If you want to
done.
get him going, just bring up not having a backup generator here.
Well, I can see in an emergency, up on the mountain, earthquake or something like that, where you could use something like that.
Yeah, it's one thing when there's just a 1 hour outage that comes back, but if it's a multi-day, especially if it's in the winter, then people would start freaking out going, now what am I supposed
And-
to do?
Well,
Well, and I'm going to say this and try and be sensitive, but when we were having a lot of meetings for like Three Bridges, I realized, and I had seen it before, but how elderly a lot of our community is. And the heat would be a big deal for them to have, you know what I mean? To have somewhere to come. I'm just saying, we have a lot of people that would need the warmth. They would need, I have a wood stove in my basement, so I would be telling everybody to come to my house. Come to my house.
I don't
But-
think that's as much as a concern to me as having this as a command center and communication center. You have your emergency vehicles here, everything's here.
Yeah, but people could gather. They could gather in the main area if they needed to.
We've had an incident where the power went out one time and during a call and had to lift the door manually and ended up crunching the door.
That was like 3 years ago or something, wasn't it?
Sounds like Chris was directly involved in this situation.
Way to go, Chris.
yeah, the springs were broken. They didn't hold the door up. I don't know.
Yeah. You know, I'm going to bring that up every chance I get.
I know. You should too. So
I gotta tell you, it was just kind of funny because I can't remember what truck I left in, and I was, I'm a newbie at the time, just excited to be on a truck somewhere. And we get up on the call wherever it was, and you hear, because when you go en route, you call the dispatch, Central, engine 191 en route. It means you're leaving the station. Then you call when you're on scene type thing, and you hear this engine 191 en route. About a minute, 2 minutes later, Central, engine 191 out of service.
Couldn't get out.
yes.
Yeah.
Oops.
That's funny.
All right, you guys, well, put it on your budget, Ted. That's what I would recommend unless Betty has anything else to offer.
I actually think it's a great idea. Just put it
That's a
on
good idea. Put it on in the budget and see.
I'll get a cost from Alan. He had a pretty good handle on what it would cost to do this, and he knows he's very familiar for the building. And then I'll look for a cost, and maybe I'll just ask him to help me with the cost for the booster
Well,
station.
Alan Wakefield is pretty savvy.
So
yeah.
our sirens, I mean, would that affect the sirens if there was no power?
It would.
Okay.
But aren't they on battery? They've got batteries on them.
Is that powered through this center?
We have you're right. We do have a battery backup there plugged into.
But you know what, Ted?
Yeah.
You've got water, fire, and roads and all that kind of stuff out of the building. That generator for that building can come out of about 4 different budgets.
Yeah, true. Well, what we could take this one like out of building roads and stuff, and then take for the booster station, take that one out of water.
Okay, we've had you here long enough. Any other
I-
discussion items?
Every day.
Do we need to schedule a next meeting?
Yes, it's on here.
And we need to have it soon because we have to come back with the answers on insurance. So it needs to be next month. right?
So Jody said something about we cannot meet,
For,
like this
Usually.
worked out for us, but we shouldn't.
It's the planning commission meeting is normally held on this Wednesday.
Okay,
I think is this the third Wednesday? It's usually a planning commission
This
night
is the
tonight.
third Wednesday, so we do not. plan
Yeah,
on the
don't,
third
they just happen to not have anything on their agenda this time, so they canceled the meeting, but
yep, it's the 3rd. So we could do the 2nd or
So
the 4th.
Well, she's got it on the city calendar. Hold on one second here. She went through and did a whole city calendar to
Oh, yeah,
make
she
everybody
did.
fit.
She
So
sent
let
it
me
to
share this with. She's got us down for, come on.
She sent me those numbers, so I'll forward those to everybody when I get home. I could probably
I'm
just.
wondering if the 26th would be a little closer to Ed's time frame for,
26th of
maybe you might
February.
have a little bit more to go on for.
budget information.
And that's what I was thinking too. Later might be better in the month than earlier.
That is
She's got us
26th.
for February 12th, but it looks like the 26th is open.
Okay.
Oh, no, 26th is Parks, Recs and Trail.
Eh,
Well,
we could
20
kick them. We could kick them to the conference room.
23rd. I don't think you're allowed to have two meetings at one night, so citizens.
We
can-
can't get in that room yet.
But I
There's
don't
the
have
door,
to-
the lock's locked. We can't get in.
Oh, really?
okay, does it have to
That one.
be so your council meeting's on the 25th.
Mhm.
That's not-
24th is a Monday. Could do the 18th, which is a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Or the 20th, which is a Thursday.
No, I would say the 18th then, if you guys are good with that.
Okay.
Is that good?
And then the next one after that, she's got March 19th. So she just kind of went through the whole year and just put down what date is available. And she's published this on the website. So it can change, but this is a good,
February
a
18th,
good
you're
count.
saying?
February 18th, that's a Tuesday night, 7 o'clock.
Okay.
That work?
It's the first round of the state tournament. So,
State
So you're gonna
basketball.
be there? Anna?
well, my son's starts on the team.
He
And my
starts
husband,
on the team?
my husband coaches. So,
Well, then that's a problem for you.
but I can get someone to
But it's the first round. Corner Canyon is going to be in the final. So
maybe. We'll see. It's, we don't, we could tank and not even make it, but probably not. Because we're winning all our games, but it's okay.
That's unheard of.
But yes, Peterson starts on the team. So, and it's his senior year, and I don't know. It's different with him, they've only had parents for 5 years.
Yeah, sure.
So their parents try to support everything. But Ted can be here or somebody else can be here in my place.
Okay, well,
I'll have somebody here.
Yeah, the mayor
We'll
comes.
just, yeah. I'll have
is it
somebody fill in.
guaranteed that he'll have a game that night, or could they have a game one of the other nights?
Yeah, I've got it all calendared because it gets tricky. So
yeah, have Brent, have Brent. If you can't make it, maybe have Brent.
yeah, it's the first round. You know what? Actually, if we have a good record, we'll have a bye on the first
Yeah,
round.
that's-
We usually
that's what I'm
do.
counting on.
So we should be fine.
So I'll talk to Coach London and see what we can do to have a.
Tell him to make sure that they get a bye first round. Okay.
All right. I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Okay, we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Good seeing
was
you
good.
guys.
Thanks, Chris.
We had a lot to cover tonight. Ted looks tired.
Hey, we'll see.
Thanks, Chris.
Are you gonna be able to stay married?
I listened back to it.
Maybe
when I was
just
driving home.
Keep me out of the house.
You know, as a
We're not
police,
on
as
record.
a
It
former
was
police
eventful.
officer,
If
that's
you
a
want
tough
something
gig.
interesting, go back and
You're called out a lot and you're gone.
go watch.
Yeah, I think.
Was it citizens or was it just difficult
It was
issues?
us citizens. Spent about 40 minutes ripping every single council member, mayor, city
Tell her thank
He
you. If I
requested
see her,
the
I'll tell her. mayor was singing your praises the other day to me, so. He really was, Ted.